Welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Grizzly, and today we're going to be looking at a very necessary but very sad update in the case of Sincere and Classic Pettis. If you don't know who that is, I'm sure you know who Orrin and Orson West are, right? Two boys missing since December 2020. And unfortunately, yes, there is an update, and their biological families would really like them to be known in the media by their real names. So I feel that we as a Grizzly community can definitely do that. If you are new here, then welcome. I hope that you'll consider subscribing at some point during this video. And if you like the way that I cover true crime, please do hit the thumbs up. I'm looking forward to read your comments below. In the meantime, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Trigger warning that this content is for adults only and probably will contain themes that you might find disturbing or just triggering because it involves children, and sadly, according to the update, it involves a story about the murder of two wonderful children. I have, in true Grizzly fashion, made a presentation for you. You know I love deep diving, we'll have snarky time, we'll have map time, and we're going to do all of that today. So I hope you are ready for all of that. Let's get started, and as always, I'm going to be right here in the corner. I might pop on and off the screen as well because I want us to focus on the information at hand. So first, this is how we would spell Sincere Pettis, known as Orrin West. He was born on August 4th, 2016, and he was last seen on December 21st, 2020. And then we have Classic Pettis, his brother, known as Orson West in the media, born June 11th, 2017, last seen December 21st, 2020. Their biological father is known as Charles Pettis, and I put a picture there on the right for you guys. And then their biological mother is Ryan Dean. She last saw the boys around Christmas in 2018, and we're going to get into all of that. Their biological grandmother is known as Brenda Pettis. In 2018, Classic and Sincere were removed from their mother's home by CPS, which is Child Protective Services, and while it's not been confirmed why she lost custody of her sons, she has said that it was because she had taken Sincere to the hospital to treat his leg because she wasn't too sure what was wrong with him, and they confirmed that he had a broken femur and called CPS. Because she had no idea how he received the injury, they thought it was very severe, and maybe she had neglected to see there was a problem for a while, so they were like, that's it, we're taking these children out of her custody. She fought very hard to get her sons back, but she says that sometimes because of her use of medical marijuana, CPS just would not look at her case. She also insisted that the injury that Sincere had suffered with his broken or fractured femur was not inflicted. She has no idea what happened. Now, Trezell, sometimes spelt as Trezell, like that, like I put in brackets there, and Jacqueline West, who already had two biological children of their own and two adopted children, decided that they were going to foster Sincere and Classic in 2018. In 2019, they officially adopted them and changed their names to Orrin and Orson West. Maybe that's a typical thing to do. I'm not too sure. Please let me know in the comments below. I don't have any experience with that, but the parents didn't like it. Their biological parents, of course, didn't like that their names were just suddenly changed as soon as they were adopted. That could also be quite scary for a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. I don't know how cognitive they'd be of that, but it could be scary to like suddenly have a new name. There are some reports that also say they were adopted in 2020, and that I find interesting based on the timeline that we're going to look at. But from most of the sources that I have found, they say they were fostered in 2018 by the Wests, and then they were officially adopted in 2019. The boys' biological aunts, uncles, and grandparents had done their level best to adopt the boys, but sadly CPS would not allow it. So their argument was, of course, please rather let us take them. We are their family. We would love to take them. We can take them. But according to how it works at CPS, this was CPS in Bakersfield, they just couldn't just hand them over to other family members. So yes, they were adopted by Trezell and Jacqueline West. So here is a little snippet that I found, a statement on social media from the boy's biological mother. She said, yeah, they were in foster care. Yes, I have certificates completing both parenting classes. Yes, they were placed in foster care upon me getting off work and my son's cry was not normal. I took him to the hospital being a responsible parent, and they took my child from there. I fought hard to get them back. Those that know me personally knows I was trying to do all the classes, maintain a household, go to work, so that they would have something to come back to, even though they had everything they needed and a good home when they got took, and they only took Classic because he was a relative to Sincere, my son, and I had just had him and got him out the NICU. Due to him being 4 pounds and me having him early because of the stress of trying to get his older brother back before he came along, I originally took Sincere to the hospital because I felt like there was, I'll take myself on, there was something wrong with him when I got off work. The only thing that I did not comply with was the drug counseling classes because I did smoke marijuana here and there. But that's nothing that's going to make me unfit for my kids. And I had medical marijuana card, and the Ebony counseling would not treat me for marijuana, which is legal, and that's what they said. I even presented a letter to the judge with them stating they don't want to counsel me because it's just marijuana, it's legal, and I have a medical marijuana card. The judge turned me down and said, well, go find something. I did what I had to do. And those who know me personally knows I love kids. I don't care if a kid is blue, purple, red, pink. I still love any child. And those who knows me personally know this should have never happened to me. So before MF's mofos, when a judge understand the person and the story on why certain happened. Thank you. Have a blessed night. And their name, Classic and Sincere. Not no damn Orrin and Orson. So here we can see Trezell and Jacqueline, 34 and age 31. The West had lived at 1525 Lotus Lane, number 116, with their 6 children, and then moved to 10707, some reports say 10717 Aspen Avenue, California City in 2020. At the time of Sincere and Classic, known in the media as Orrin and Orson's disappearance, the other 4 children were not at the house. They were at their grandparents' house for Christmas. The last time that those 4 siblings saw the boys was on December 19th, 2020. 18 hours after the disappearance, the FBI took custody of the other 4 children. So they are in foster care. Isn't that so sad? We are going to do some map time a little bit later, so just hang in there for that. But I just wanted to already just show you this map to show you how far they moved. It's about an hour, 13-minute drive, 68.5 miles or so. So they went from 1525 Lotus Lane, number 116 in Bakersfield, and then moved to Cal City to Aspen Avenue, allegedly with the whole family, except here you can see that the neighbor said there was never any boys in that house, and we're home 98% of the time. There wasn't even a dog, not even in the backyard, Robin Plant said, the neighbor. Which is interesting because Trezell talks about the boys playing in the backyard with a dog named Chalk, and sometimes also confuse people because he said they were playing in the back with chalk. So some people think it's chalk drawings they were making on the concrete, while others think that they were playing with a dog named Chalk. But the neighbor here says, who's home 98% of the time, they never saw any boys, they never saw any chalk. And the police also confirmed they didn't find any trace of the kids really ever being there. According to Trezell and Jacqueline, they took the 6 kids Christmas shopping on December 19, 2020. However, surveillance footage showed only one of them getting into the car with 4 kids. It appeared to be Trezell. So where did the other adult go? That's the question. Where did Jacqueline go? When Trezell loaded 4 kids into the car, where did Jacqueline go with the 2 boys? Was Sincere and Classic? That's the question. When the car returns, both adults are then in the car with the 4 children. See? No Orrin and Orson, which means no Sincere and Classic. Very interesting, but suddenly Jacqueline's in the car with the 4 kids. Now this little snippet I found quite interesting. Bill Garcia is a private detective investigating the boys' case. He said he met a California City woman who said she saw the 2 brothers at the Albertsons parking lot in Tehachapi, am I saying it right? Tehachapi? On December 23rd, 2 days after the West last saw them. Now, this place is 30 miles west of Cal City. I will show you again later on map time. I've got it all mapped for you. I just want to get through the presentation first. 2 adult males accompanied the boys. One was black and the other could have been black. She wasn't sure. Each man had a hold of one of the boys' hands. The situation did not appear out of the ordinary. Only when she heard about the disappearance did she realize the 2 boys were Sincere and Classic, or Orrin and Orson West. She said she contacted CCPD but had not heard back. Garcia told Eyewitness News that authorities should have focused the search in desolate rural parts of Tehachapi like Sand Canyon and surrounding areas. Now, what's interesting about this statement is that according to this woman and according to the private detective here, the boys didn't seem distressed. It's almost as if they knew these guys? I don't know. Let's have a look now at what the Wests said happened. Adoptive father, Trezell West, told the media that Orson 3 and Orrin 4 wandered away late in the afternoon on December 21st while playing with sidewalk chalk in the backyard, or the dark chalk. Trezell said his wife, Jacqueline West, was inside wrapping Christmas presents and he was gathering wood in a nearby field when he lost track of the boys. If it was so cold that Trezell was collecting firewood, and at that time it was pretty cold and it was dark, why would they send the boys to play outside in the dark on the concrete and apparently not dressed very warmly? And why not wait until the boys were in bed like normal parents to wrap the gifts? Why do you have to wrap it at that time? You know, between 4 and 5 p.m. or something, you wrapping gifts. That's it, boys, go play outside in the cold and dark. What? According to the West, the boys were last seen wearing black sweatshirts and grey sweatpants. The boys allegedly went missing around 5 p.m. Surveillance footage showed Trezell getting into his van at 5:32 p.m. If you've seen the surveillance footage, you'll see at the top it actually says 4:32 p.m., but the neighbors said that it was an hour out, so it's at 5:32 p.m. He came home a whole 6 minutes later. Okay, and then they called the police at 5:48 p.m. and by 5:53 p.m. the police were on the scene. They were officially reported missing and the flyers went out at 8 p.m. So I'm going to go through this interview with you, but just to summarize, yeah, I just look at this picture and I'm already like, red flag. Trezell said, I open up the back gate, I'm throwing wood, bringing it inside the house. My wife's inside. She was actually wrapping gifts, so we thought it was a good idea that our youngest 2 go outside and play with chalk on the back patio. See, now people didn't know, is chalk the dog? Is chalk actually chalk? However, he said, we thought it was a good idea that our youngest 2, kind of implying that the other 4 was somewhere there, but they weren't. They were not there. So his story eventually just completely fell apart. It just really didn't add up. He said, I saw them there, went in the house, I came back out, I didn't see them. I realized that I left the back gate open and I panicked and I came inside the house. We searched the house, me and my wife. Once that didn't pan out, I mean, what a very nonchalant thing to say. Once that didn't pan out, I got in the van. I looked down the street in both directions. It was getting dark, getting cold. So this is apparently the back gate that he says they would have just wandered off into where? Into the neighborhood out of? The West apparently periodically checked on their former home. So even though they'd moved quite far away, they would periodically return to their former home to check on it. This is the home where the boys went missing from in the pictures here. They did not attend any of the prayer or candlelight vigils or any of the recent searches for the boys. The only available photos that they gave to the media were over a year old. They returned to their Bakersfield home when the boys went missing. See? So it's not like let's pack up and move the entire family and live in this new house in Cal City. Oh, as soon as the boys were missing and the media was there, they returned back home. They did say they were getting death threats. People were throwing things at their house. People were protesting outside their house, demanding answers. Kind of like the laundry case, you know what I mean? But still, to me, it's a bit odd that they're like, okay, let's pack up and just go back. Also because the other 4 kids were never there. According to neighbors, according to what the police found. I mean, the police did an extensive search at the house. They dug up the backyard. They did infrared imagery searches. They used cadaver dogs. They used every kind of dog, they said. They searched that house under the floorboards, in the ceiling, everywhere. They searched everywhere. And they didn't find a sign of the kids. Trezell deleted his Twitter account and his YouTube and Amazon playlists as well when they moved back, which I also find a bit strange. He did keep Facebook though. Now what's interesting here is that in December of 2021, Charles Pettis, the biological father of the boys, filed a lawsuit against Kearns County, the county that had the CPS, for negligence and wrongful death. December 2021. So he might have known something already before all of us, of course, knew now, which is March 2022. They recently found human remains, and it looks like they were found in early November, attorney Antonio Castillo said. So the children's father, Mr. Pettis, went in to allow DNA to be collected to see if there was a potential DNA match. The biological family members of the boys started a GoFundMe and raised reward money on their own. So we're not talking about the Wests. They did not do any of this. It was the biological family members of the boys. They started a GoFundMe. They put up the billboards. I mean, they were holding the vigils. They were busy out there on the searches. Trezell and Jacqueline were not doing that. So note Trezell, which is spelled some nice like that, and Jacqueline did not behave in a way that one would expect when children in your care go missing. In fact, they were their children, because they'd adopted them. So these are some pictures of the billboards, the reward, money that was raised by the biological family of these boys. You can see the picture on the top left, the boys with their family members, and at the bottom as well. They don't know the date of that picture, just says undated picture when I look at it, but it's probably with their grandfather. And Jamal Watkins, the missing boy's uncle, said, "We offered a reward out of our own pockets." Note, the West did not provide recent or clear images of the boys to the police. No neighbors had seen the boys at all in the 3 months that they had lived there. The police chief has said from the beginning that he suspected foul play, and the California city mayor, Jeannie O'Loughlin, is that how we say that? Said it seemed like right from the get-go, those kids were never in California City. And the boy's auntie said the same. The family members said the same. You're like, you know what? I don't think they were ever there. Let me know what you think about that below, but I also don't think that they were ever actually at that house. Wanda West, the grandmother, so it's kind of adoptive, it's the adoptive parents' mother, said, "I just know they were really good parents as far as I'm concerned." Oh man. So that must be Trezell's mom. On Tuesday, March the 1st, 2022, murder charges were filed against Trezell and Jacqueline West. 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of willful cruelty to a child, and falsely reporting an emergency. Rest in peace, sincere and classic Pettis. Okay, are we ready for map time? So let's have a look here on the map. You can see they previously lived in Bakersfield at 1525 Lotus Lane, number 116. So let's zoom in on that. Okay, so this is where they had formerly lived with their 4 children, and then they adopted Sincere and Classic, and then suddenly in September of 2020 they thought, we're going to move. And so they moved all the way to Cal City, 10717 Aspen Road. I hope you can see it clearly. 10717 Aspen Road. Let's put the little man right here. Yeah, are we facing the house? There we go. It looks about right. There's a picture. Let's see. Yeah, there's a picture of the house that I put up on the right-hand side for you so that you can compare. That this definitely looks like the house. 10717 Aspen Road in Cal City, where I don't think the boys ever were. Okay, and then let's go to that location where there was a woman that saw the boys. Remember the investigator, the private investigator told us about this in the presentation when we looked at it? In the Albertsons parking lot. And this is actually 37 miles west of Cal City. So that is very interesting to think that they were in this area. Let's zoom in here. So here is an Albertsons in this area. So somewhere in the parking lot here, the boys were seen, allegedly, with 2 adult males, each one holding one of the boys' hands. So while we know now that Trezell and Jacqueline have been arrested for murder of these children, I do wonder where they have found their bodies and if they have. I'm assuming they have, based on possibly their biological father filing wrongful death lawsuits already in December of 2021. But I wonder how that's going to tie into the timeline. The fact that they were living in Bakersfield, they'd apparently moved out here. It was the Bakersfield police that were investigating the case. And then here is where the boys were allegedly seen by an eyewitness that the private investigator talked about in this area. You know, and there was that day on December 19th where Trezell loaded the 4 kids into the car, his 2 biological children and their other 2 adopted children, into the car to go Christmas shopping. Jacqueline wasn't there. So where did she go? Like, what if she went somehow to this area out there where the Albertsons was? I don't know. It's very strange, and I'm sure we're going to find out more, which is why we're looking at all of this, because there's actually still a lot of information to learn. So now that we've done map time, let's do some snarky time. And this time, I'm not going to provide it. I'm going to let the boys' auntie provide it, because who you can see standing there would be Trezell and Jacqueline when they were doing their media interview, which we'll also look at after this. But this auntie went for it, and she was spot on. I'm like, you look too calm to me. Like, hello. So have a look at this.
I didn't see y'all on no cameras last night. I didn't even see y'all out here praying with these people. These people was out here praying for my nephew. And where was y'all at? Where was y'all?
She's basically saying, where was y'all at? Like, where were you? Everyone was out here praying to find the kids. Like, where were you? Look at them. He's just standing there like, what? And Jacqueline's like, what? Like, they don't look very concerned at all, do they?
Y'all at? Y'all was supposed to take care of my nephew. Not this that's supposed to happen. Y'all was supposed to take care of my nephew. You act like you don't understand. You're too calm for me. You're too...
She's like, you're too calm for me. They're too calm for everyone. I mean, standing there, hands in their pockets, arms folded, just nodding along. Yep, I know. What?
Too calm for me. Okay, going through it, you act like you don't care. I'm just telling the truth. I'm sorry if I'm coming at you the wrong way, but you act like you don't care. From the first jump, the kids came up missing. How? Where are they? Do you guys think of that? Where they at night while y'all sleep?
Look at Jacqueline. She's just like, oh man, this is like so much. What? I mean, this auntie's got a real point. I mean, from day one, they don't look worried.
You don't sleep. You should have been out here 24/7. Buckled up, looking for them. That is crazy.
I don't think that also is very necessary in the situation. Like, listen, let me just tell you something. Because she's got a point. They're not out there looking for them. She's like, buckle up and look for them. Exactly. That's what parents would normally do.
Don't care. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's wrong. Hey, y'all know we gonna look for the baby. Yeah. They don't got no explanation for it. They don't got no explanation. That's just gonna look for the baby.
So yes, their mom was also here. I believe that is her. She's really getting emotional now. And you can see Trezell and Jacqueline are just standing there like, what? Why is everyone so upset? What's happening? My word. Okay, so let's have a look at this now. Just look carefully. It's very blurry. I know. It's from the security footage, right? New security camera footage leading to questions about the disappearance of Orrin and Orson West, or Sincere and Classic Pettis. If you look at it, you could see what looks like a male, an adult male, loading 4 kids into the car. Apparently, when police analyzed this footage, there was no sign of Jacqueline. It was 1 adult, 4 children, but then when the car returned, there were 2 adults and 4 children. And this was also the last day that the siblings, those 4 siblings of Sincere and Classic, said that they saw them. Obviously, they knew them as Orrin and Orson, but they said, yep, the last time they saw them was on December 19th.
The door open while 4 children go into the van. Then later that day, 2 adults, which appear to be Trezell and Jacqueline, come back to the house without any kids. Chief Walker says the Wests say they dropped off 4 of their children, not including Orrin and Orson, at a family member's house that day. Walker says that day, December 19th, was the last day the other 4 children say they saw Orrin and Orson. Camera footage of a neighbor to Trezell and Jacqueline West shows on December 21st at 5:53, Trezell starts looking for the boys around the neighborhood.
See, this is the footage that I was talking about that says 4:33, which the neighbor said was an hour out. It was actually at 5:33 p.m. This was now on the day that supposedly the boys went missing, December 21st, 2020, and this would be the footage at 5:33, where Trezell gets in the van to look for them for a whole 6 minutes. Okay, now just so that we are clear on what charges they are facing, I'm first going to go through that with you now, and then the last thing we're going to do is look at the original media interview given by Trezell and Jacqueline, because, wow, in hindsight, it's actually, you know, the behavior panel and all these people that analyzed their body language at the time were absolutely spot on. They were so deceptive. So it's quite something to watch, knowing what we know now. So let me just confirm again, in case you don't know, what we know now. A stunning development has occurred in the case of missing California city brothers Orrin and Orson West, with murder charges filed Tuesday against Trezell West, their adoptive father. Trezell was not listed in custody as of 5 p.m. He is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of willful cruelty to a child, which is interesting, it says willful cruelty to a child, and falsely reporting an emergency. So Orrin and Orson in the media, of course, you know I want to use their real names, Sincere and Classic, were reportedly last seen on December 21st, 2020, playing outside the home where they lived with adoptive parents Trezell and Jacqueline. Trezell West said he'd been gathering firewood and briefly went back inside. When he came out, the boys were gone. They were reported missing to the California City Police Department that day. The department searched the home and brought the Wests in for questioning. Police Chief John Walker told the media in late December 2020 that foul play was absolutely suspected, but nothing was found while searching the home. He said he didn't believe they wandered into the desert because a thorough search aided by a helicopter with infrared took place covering a 5-mile perimeter. Also, it was only 30 degrees Fahrenheit that night. Walker said the cold would have slowed the children. Through the support of several local businesses and organizations, more than $100,000 in reward money was offered to anyone with information that led to the discovery of the boys. In early of March last year, so 2021, the Bakersfield Police Department took over as the lead agency in the investigation from the Cal City Police Department. So I think at that point they might have been like, oh my word, they were never at this house, possibly. They also said that they had more resources. The FBI and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children were also involved. I am going to link this article below. It is from kget.com. By June, the BPD said 44 search warrants had been served, 83 people interviewed, and 170 items were seized. Police did not elaborate on what was seized. Police said 16 mass area searches had been conducted at that point, and investigators had searched 3 locations outside of the state and followed up on more than 200 tips. Data was extracted from cellular and electronic devices and seized items forensically examined. All family members connected to the boys were interviewed. The boys' biological father, Charles Pettis, has filed a lawsuit against Kern County alleging officials were negligent in taking the boys from their birth parents and placing them in the custody of the West family. Pettis told 17 News in December he couldn't understand how the boys went missing after the county took them from him, supposedly for safekeeping. I don't want my kids to be deceased. I want them to come back, he said at the time. My kids is all I got. After my parents passed, it's just me and my kids. And sadly, apparently, Charles Pettis has also lost another child before in an accident. So I'm not too sure what accident it was. I can't find anything on it, but that is some of the rumor that's going around. Now, that article seemed to imply that it was only Trezell that was arrested, but in other articles, they say after 14 months since Orrin and Orson West were first reported missing from their California City home from their adoptive parents, Trezell and Jacqueline West. They spell Trezell differently in almost every article I read, okay? Tuesday, Bakersfield police charged both adoptive parents with murder. Trezell and Jacqueline West were both charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of willful, cruelty to a child. 2 counts, so both, okay? And 1 count of a false report emergency. 35-year-old Trezell and 32-year-old Jacqueline were each booked into the Kern County Jail Tuesday after 8. It is unknown right now what led to these charges. Okay, so see, we're waiting for comment from the Bakersfield police. We are waiting to hear what happened. What did they find? Where were the boys? Sadly, the boys have been murdered because based on the charges, that's what we know. There's a post circulating on social media that shows a picture of an RV that the suspects were reportedly using. Okay, interesting. Apparently, this RV was spotted on Highway 43 and Highway 58. Were they trying to escape? I don't know. That's kind of what I'm gathering. Like, what were they doing? They say Eyewitness News went to the spot and saw a tow truck taking this RV away. The RV had the same license plate number as the RV in the post. So it seems like, internet sleuths are comparing this RV being towed away and possibly Trezell and Jacqueline being spotted in this RV. So maybe at that point they were living in an RV. Where were they? Oh, and the other 4 kids. I'm like, where were the other 4 kids? Sorry, my bad. They were, of course, taken into foster care. Rosanna Wills, who is the cousin to the boys, said the following. Anger, sadness, confused. Why? Like, why would you hurt 2 babies? It don't make no sense, and it's a lot of emotions going on right now. Now it's like, where are the boys? Like, what did you guys do with them? And when did you guys really hurt these babies before reporting them missing? That is the question, and we'll find out. And I'll let you guys know when I know. Trezell and Jacqueline are scheduled in court on Thursday at 8 a.m. So that'll probably be on the 4th of March, right? So now that we've looked at a complete summary of this case, which I hope you enjoyed all in one video, I've certainly followed this case. I know I've never reported on it, but just because I don't report on cases doesn't mean that I'm not watching the news. I'm watching it all. I'm a true crimer at heart. I'm watching all the true crime news. I just don't manage to sometimes report on everything. However, when this news broke, it's like, oh my word, they've been arrested for murder. So if we look at the interview now, the initial media interview they gave, it's quite something to watch because we could already smell the deceit a mile away on this day. But of course, now even more so. Now we have confirmation. They've been arrested for murder. So let's have another look at it. If you've never looked at it, then this will be your first time seeing this and you'll spot it immediately. But if you know about this interview, you're going to see it even more in a moment. So you can see there they spell his name Trezell like that, and Jacqueline West. I mean, sometimes with Jacqueline, it's J-A-Q. I know it doesn't really matter to you guys how their names are spelled, but to me, I'm like, whoa, that's confusing when their names are spelled all differently everywhere you look. I suppose we'll see them in court on Thursday. See how they spell their names in court. Okay, let me put myself here. It was pretty cold this day, so I know that Trezell is kind of like this, you know, standing there with his hands tucked in like this. Apparently that's because he was cold. I know a lot of people feel like this is a sign of him hiding something or being defensive or something like that, but apparently it was just because he was cold. Nevertheless, the way that he spoke, the things that he said, everything, wow. And I think they were lucky that they had to wear masks here, because can you imagine if we could see their whole face? I think there's a layer of deceit that can be hidden under those masks in these cases, don't you think?
Everyone in the community for all the support we've seen. We've felt so helpless and seen.
I'm already going to offer commentary. If you want to watch this by yourself without my commentary, you know you're not on the right channel. Go and look at the news yourself. This is the Grizzly True Crime channel where Grizzly K over here makes commentary, okay, on things like this. But she said all the support that we've seen, which is quite odd. It's not like, you know, thank you so much for all the support that we've received. She's saying that we've seen. It's like we're observing that people are being very supportive. Already that to me is like distancing language.
Everybody out here really looking and helping out really means a lot.
Well, there's a nice fake little sigh. Yeah. You could just feel the insincerity.
So, tell us what happened the night the kids went missing.
Okay.
From our yard.
Okay. He's like, okay, here we go. Time to tell them my little story. Here we go. He's written a whole script in his head for this.
Okay. It was cold. I was gonna make a fire. There's a lot of wood in this area right here next to our house. I opened up the back gate.
Dude, it's literally bullet points in your brain. It was cold. I was gonna make fire. A lot of wood in these fields right by our house. It's like, you can just hear, oh my word.
I'm throwing wood, bringing it inside the house. My wife's inside. She was actually wrapping gifts, so we thought it was a good idea that our youngest two go outside and play with chalk on the back patio. Do not let them go on the dirt in the backyard. We keep them close.
Okay. We do not let them go in the dirt in the backyard. We keep them close. What's the point of saying that? And you see how you said they played with chalk in the backyard. Apparently the dog's name was Chalk, but the neighbor saw no dog. It's very interesting.
Playing with chalk, and I came in the house. I saw them there. I went in the house. I came back out. I didn't see them there.
There is a lot of switching between past tense and present tense in the way that he's telling this story.
I immediately went back in, asked my wife, did you see the boys? She said no, they should be outside.
See, with her swaying back and forth like that, that's what I do when I do public speaking. And I don't even know I'm doing it. But it's because I'm freaking nervous. So haven't done much public speaking. Just when I have to do presentations and stuff like in front of a crowd, you know? But anyway, the point is she's like holding onto a jacket and friggin' swaying back and forth. This must be quite nerve-wracking to stand next to the dude who's lying for you as well.
Started playing with chalk. I said, well, I didn't see him, so I came back outside and I started searching my backyard. I searched the whole thing. I realized.
Wow. Started searching my backyard. I mean, I searched the whole thing. Yes, because it's acres worth, right?
That I left the gate open and I panicked, came inside the house, searched the house, me and my wife. Once that hadn't panned out, I got in the van. I looked down the street, most directions. It was getting dark, getting cold, and I got in the van and I hit a bunch of corners. I went down this street. I turned.
Could I eye roll this enough? Hit a bunch of corners. I mean, I looked in the street, both directions, the whole backyard. Down the street, both directions, hit a bunch of corners. Yeah, but you were back in 6 minutes, dude.
My light on, I searched, I called their names. Talked to a gentleman on the
I searched, I called their names.
Street on the other side over there, he didn't see me. So then I came home and I told my wife we need to call the cops. It's getting dark and I need help, we gotta get going. So I called the cops, cops came. First thing they did was tell us to stay in the house so they can get a hold of us. And they had us just sitting there, and we wanted to keep searching.
Oh, the poor victims. I mean, they just had to sit basically on their hands in their house and be very, very well behaved when all they wanted to do was go out there and search, right? Okay, except that after this day, not at all again. They didn't participate in any searches, in any candlelight or prayer vigils. They didn't raise any money for the boys. They didn't help with the billboards. They did absolutely nothing. All they did was pack up their stuff, go back to their former home, and then apparently they got an RV and then got in that after losing their other 4 children. Wow, they destroyed the lives of so many people, but especially murdered 2 children, so they lost their lives, destroyed the lives of their other 4 children, and so many family members, and the world is hurt by what they've done.
But everybody came out in droves, and I wanted to thank you guys that night, but we couldn't go outside.
The cops told us the best are out here.
The best are out here searching, and we appreciate it, and nobody ever could tell, we could never talk to anybody, and that was the issue.
I don't think that was the issue. The issue was that the boys were missing and possibly endangered. But according to these 2 over here, what they really know and the way they're talking is the boys were dead. How sick is that?
I just want to thank everybody.
We really want to thank you guys.
Please, if anybody has seen them, please call, let somebody know.
It's interesting how they say if anybody has seen them, please call, let somebody know. If you are really worried about your kids and you're like, if someone sees my kids, you better freaking grab them. You better take them to safety. You better call the police immediately. You better do something. But they're just like, oh, if you see something, just say something. They're regurgitating that as if it's just this generic thing to do. Just like, oh, if you see them, make a phone call. Oh, my word.
Call the cops. Call California's the city police department. Call them and let them know what you've seen if you see anything.
Let them know what you've seen if you see anything. What, you mean like if people have footage of you, making sure that your story doesn't add up, knowing that you murdered them? Whew, okay, gotta calm down.
Our boys, they are going to be rambunctious.
That's the worst statement of everything he said in this entire interview is, you know those boys? They're going to be rambunctious. What in the hell, dude? They're going to be rambunctious? That's what you want to say at this point?
Okay. They are going to be here in this area. And I really would like to go
And I'm guessing that's not at all where they were found.
in the houses. But it's not because I want to invade people's privacy. I just want to know if make sure. That's it.
What a bunch of liars. I would love to go into the people's houses. Not to invade their privacy. I'm not trying to violate any boundaries after murdering 2 boys. I just want to go in there to make sure. To make sure of what? You want to pull a chassis and ask them what their neighborhood cameras have caught? Because they sure were helpful, actually, in the end. I can't believe these 2. I can't believe it. It's like Chris Watts. They're saying there was comparison between this dude and Chris Watts when it's just like standing with his arms folded, all chillaxed, you know, making a media statement. What in the hell? But to know that she's also charged with murder, okay, 2nd-degree murder, and standing there? Wow, lady, wow.
Because I don't... Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. If you got any questions.
Oh, no, you're good.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to say, you know, this is the first time we're hearing from you guys, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. I can't even fathom it. For you guys...
He's trying to... well, there we go. There's a accurate representation of him, but he's trying to be like, yeah, you know, yeah, what we're going through, it's pretty bad. But is it, though? Do you feel like it's pretty bad? It doesn't look like it has much impact.
For people who are thinking...
They did a close-up of that face. Whoa.
For you guys, for people who are thinking...
Dude. He looks dangerous when I look at him like this. Oh my goodness.
That there's some kind of foul play involved. You know, we just spoke to the biological mother. She says she had a conversation with you guys, and that she thinks there's some kind of foul play involved. That she thinks you guys did something.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
Your first response is, that's understandable. Yep, that they would think it's foul play. Yeah, perfectly understandable. Well, now we know how understandable that is.
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly the point. And if we can find our babies, then guess what? That's no. And
His sentence doesn't even make sense there. And guess what? Then that's no. When we find our babies, then guess what? That's no. Okay, firstly, you have reverted to not speaking proper English because I think this question made him really nervous. But also, doesn't this remind you of Letitia Stauch in the Gannon Stauch case? Whew.
that's all I want is to find our babies. That's it. And I talked to her this morning, and I really wanted to tell her that I am completely sorry because we were entrusted with her children, and they came to us, and they became our children, and we named them, and they are our children, and so we want them back. So please.
Okay, we are completely sorry. They came to us. They didn't come to you. You adopted them. You went there to get them. You fostered them. You adopted them. You renamed them. You moved them, apparently. You murdered them.
If y'all could get back on what you guys are doing, we should be able to get a hold of somebody, but they took all of our tech, so they wanted to, I guess, just rule us out, which makes sense. That's part of the investigation. So that's pretty much it.
Have you guys, you talked to the police all last night?
Yes.
So you guys willfully gave them your
Everything.
technology,
Yes.
the car.
Yes.
How did they get a search warrant? Did you guys?
I
no
don't see
idea.
why they got one, but they got.
I don't see why they got one. I mean, what did they have on us? What did they know? How did they know we murdered these boys? That's what I'm hearing now, in hindsight, because it's like, I don't see how they got one. Okay, well, now we can all see how they got one.
Got one. We
Yeah,
would have
they
let them
didn't
take
need one,
anything.
but-
We would have let them take everything. We let them come in and search with us. We asked them to come do that.
What did they take?
Just tech. And that's it. Like our
Just check, and that's it.
phones.
From the house, though, did they?
Should have been out there the first day. Not right now.
Oh, well, I guess, should I answer that? Or?
Answer it to us, yeah.
Okay. So, okay, and I guess, I don't even know.
I see. Yeah, we seriously felt like we needed to be out here. We did. Again, we were told the best are out here looking already. Just to stay put, they have more questions.
I think you were told to stay put because you were the friggin' prime suspects, and thank goodness they've been arrested.
There was literally a cop with us the whole time in there.
He had sitting down. We would ask, can we go help? They had to sit down.
Said nope.
He said, no, we got the best out there.
So
we
it's
need
not-
you guys here in case we have more questions.
I don't want you guys thinking we
don't.
didn't try. We actually
We
looked
tried.
before we called
We
the
looked,
police.
yes.
We tried. I don't want you guys thinking we didn't try. I mean, we tried, except there was no surveillance footage showing Jacqueline over here leaving the house at all to try. She was just in the house during this whole search time.
And I imagine the mind-boggling part is the search for information. What happened? Where are they?
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And
And just so we are able to present the information correctly, at what time did you guys notice your kids went missing, and at what time were they reported missing to the police?
it's about, I think it was about 4:30, going on 5. It was getting dark, like I said.
5-ish.
5-ish. That's about it. That's when everything played out.
And then when did you guys call?
That's when everything played out? Those are some very scary words. Not that's when things happened. That's when it went wrong. That's when my children went missing. That's when everything played out.
Call the police to report them missing.
I don't,
After we searched
yeah.
a little bit around
And she says after we searched. She never searched.
here, it was dark, so we definitely we got worried.
Would you say it was maybe within an hour, a couple hours?
No, it was within minutes of us getting finished with our search. It was within minutes.
What do you guys want people at home to understand about this situation? For them, you know, even speaking about what you guys are feeling is difficult. What do you want them at home to understand about this whole situation?
We're going through it. It's difficult. I mean, everybody's making their own their own conclusions.
He's like, assumptions, because she's like, assumptions, and she's like, their own conclusions. But what do you want people to know about what's going on here? It's like, we're going through it. That is very telling as well. We're just going through it. Basically, we're going through the motions. This is very hard for us. Yeah, it's hard to hide what you know, huh? It's hard to actually lie this much, isn't it? Oh my word. Let's see that one more time.
We're going through it. It's difficult. I mean, everybody's making their own their own conclusions. They don't know anything. We're not sure like everything. We're not sure. We said what we knew, and if anybody has seen them.
Very odd what she's saying there. We don't know exactly what, and then she looks at the house and then saying, I mean, we thought we knew, but then we didn't know. What are you talking about? What are you talking about there now, huh? Look at it.
We're not sure like everything. We're not sure. We said what we knew, and if anybody has seen them or anything, please call the police department.
Would you be willing to provide pictures, or do you have any?
I have older pictures. All my newest were on my phone.
Okay.
A lot of people are speaking of this as, you know, after the math, past tense. I want to talk about your kids in present tense. What kind of boys are these? Tell us about the boys.
Very playful, very rambunctious, and they do love to wrestle. They do love to kind of get rough with each other.
Kids.
They're kids.
Wow, let's state the obvious. What can you tell us about these boys? They're kids. Yeah, we all know that. 3 and 4 years old. Yeah, they're kids, man. Okay, wow, aren't you too personal?
Of course, they would love to go out, but so during the pandemic, we weren't trying to go, you know, out here. And so we stayed inside.
Oh, I see. So let's assume in this moment now that the boys never moved to this new home in Cal City with them. And he says, well, I mean, they wanted to go out here, but because of the, YouTube hates this word, pandemic. YouTube, please, be nice, okay? Due to the pandemic, they weren't able to go out here. Oh, is that why neighbors didn't see any of the kids or the dog, and yet you let them out apparently in the backyard to play with chalk, huh? So they went out to the backyard, but he's basically saying, oh yeah, they weren't going out here. It's because of that lockdown. That's why. Yeah, that's why people hardly saw us. Is that why though?
Did you guys ever go out and search?
Yes, we did. We searched before we called the cops. That's what we were saying.
What time did they come up missing?
They came missing right before it got dark. And then we called. I searched the property. I even drove around this neighborhood right here. I even talked to a gentleman on that side, one of those streets over there.
I've never, well, I can't say never, but let me just say it for effect. I've never heard a parent say, I even did this and I even did that. Yeah, that's just the start of it, dude. That was like in the first, 10 minutes? Think about Mr. David Robinson searching for his son Daniel. Have you ever heard him say, I even went out there every week, huh? To search. No. The drive of the parent is there. The parent who loves his child, who cares. This saying, I even went, I even searched the backyard. I even went around bunch of corners. Remember that? I even spoke to a neighbor. I mean, like, well done. Would you like a certificate for that? Oh, this guy makes me so mad.
I said, did you see some little black kids? And
that way looking for them?
That's the way I was going to come. But when I came back home, I decided to call the...
Interesting. Did you see some little black kids? Not did you see my sons? Did you maybe see Orrin and Orson as they knew them? I mean, they've lived here for 3 months. Do you know absolutely no one?
Cops, because it was dark. They couldn't have got away that fast.
And why did it take two people to go in the house and leave two kids out here by themselves? It should have been one parent going in and one parent right here watching the child, not two parents going in the house and leaving two little kids out here by themselves for 10 minutes.
No, they were in the backyard, and the back gate was open.
Out the backyard.
And the back gate was open, and I was getting wood from this lot here.
You guys been unresponsible, left the gate open, left some little kids outside with the gate open.
All right.
Wow. He's doing the no response there. Just like, okay. Just like turns his head and just like absolutely dismissive of that question.
Sorry, you guys were talking about your boys who you're, I understand. For a mother's intuition, I know you were saying, and we'll get your names after this, but you were saying how you feel like they're in this area. Do you feel the same way? And what is the intuition? What is the sense you get? What do you think happened to your boys? Do you think someone took them? Do you think they're lost? Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely know they're not walking around. They're not that kind. They do not just roam around.
I definitely know they're not just walking around. They're not that kind, except they've just described them as wrestling toddlers. I mean, rambunctious, extremely playful, really wanting to go outside. So here's a contradiction and a half. But really what we know now is that she really does know that they're not out there walking around because they did. That is... Whoa. I mean, she has like no... Am I being too snarky? I don't think so. I mean, these people murdered 2 little boys, okay? And 4 children are now in foster care because of these people. They're supposed to look after these kids. My word. But she's like, yeah, they definitely walk around. They're not those kind. Not saying they wouldn't do that or I would never let that happen to them. No. They're not those kind. She's like no protective or motherly instincts. That's what I'm picking up.
These patches, they definitely would have been picked up.
Definitely have been taken. Picked up or
something.
Picked up or something. You mean picked up or dropped off or something? Did you drop them off in that area outside that Albertson's place?
That was my assumption.
Have they ever taken off of the yard before?
No.
They've never taken off?
No.
Well, I hope that you are all caught up on the case now. I hope that I did a good job for you presenting everything in one episode. If you like the way that I present true crime, please give this video a thumbs up. Let's continue to get their real names out into the media if we can. Sincere and classic Pettis. Rest in peace to these wonderful little boys. I mean, it absolutely breaks my heart that this is what the outcome is. It is not what I expected when I initially started following the case. Did you? I mean, it's absolutely devastating. We always hope that they'll be found alive. I mean, even if they were abducted or something, of course there's major trauma, but we just hope they'll be found alive and in good health. But unfortunately, murder charges. So now we know they were murdered. And we know who's been arrested for their murder. And we will continue to follow what happens because we absolutely want justice for Sincere and Classic Pettis, otherwise known as Orrin and Orson West. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.